Okay, I'm just waking up here. Yeah, I'm just waking up. I'll go ahead and make this video here, and people get to hear what people are like that are waking up. Now, I've actually went and got some coffee, and I'm starting to drink it, so I'm starting to get awake, It's a hard night, Had a birthday, so, yeah. Okay, treason is the topic, and we have a lot of treason going on. We need an emergency election right away because the voters have not been told about the attacks that have occurred on my campaigns. This is through multiple elections, and we simply have to put our foot down and put a stop to this lunacy from proceeding any further. Now, it's hard to bring this all up to date as to all the federal documents I've filed so far through the United States Senate, through the Secretary of the United States Senate. Those go directly into the United States Archive. This is very important. So we have rebellion, insurrection, and invasion all happening at the same time in relationship, negatively affecting my campaign. My life, me, a person, my health, my safety, as well as my nonprofit interest. Archiving, this means national security, campaigns, process of elections. The list goes on. More than 10 million charges respective to the state of California's involvement directly in rigging elections, and they still have not come forward. There are still additional charges of treason, national security violations. It's very, very extensive. See, the word is archiving. When you attack an archiver, you're in trouble. When you attack an archive, you're facing pretty much mandatory death penalty sentences if you're convicted. This is not a game. So Julie Su has conducted demographic warfare basically all over the state, rigging elections. And the voters have not received their written notice yet. Voters have not received written notice and their link. Now, that's something that, for me, I was listing. That's going to be in my candidate statement. But you see, California is still blacklisting me. California is still blacklisting. They're scared to death. These people are scared to death to put me on the ballot. They're blacklisting me. So regardless of the fact that definitive evidence has repeatedly been turned over to the Secretary of State, they still want to blacklist me. That's treason. That's treason. Why? Because I was working with candidate tooling, as well as, that's my tools. I have the right to have my tools run the election my way. But I'm working with voters' tools. Voters' tool, the most comprehensive voter tool exploration in the history of voter tools. Nobody beats me. Nobody in the world beats me. I have the biggest scorecard for voter tooling in the history of the world. In the history of the world. Just say that again, just in case for some of you that may have missed it. It's important. So we have to have an emergency election come first before this election, because voters have to understand, and we have to make sure, we have to make abundantly clear that voters understand. That means we have to put questionnaires out there. Why? Well, we need to see whether or not these people understand properly the nature of the material of what's going on respective to mass election rigging. See, people need this information in order to understand how to vote. It's important. Now, there's a lot of other issues out there that people also want to get resolved. You have people that for many thousands of years are cohesive to an evolving understanding from a different point of view that has different points of view. So you have the belief system in faith, for instance. The belief system in faith that deals with many types of belief that are natural belief systems that are cohesive, such as using your own labor to build shelter for yourself so you don't die from the elements. Now, people like Eskimos in Alaska and people in Greenland would understand this. Now, you haven't had a homeless person die in Greenland, I think, for like more than 5 years. But in California, it's different. In California, we have mass genocide. In California, these people are basically discriminating against some people's religious belief. You have a lot of different types of religious beliefs, and some people might understand them whether they're part of it or not. So Christ the Carpenter type philosophies as a faith system is a belief system that people are not allowed to be taxed, and they're allowed to build roofs over their head with their own hand. So when we have California not only violating the Constitution of the United States, but also interfering with people's religious practices. See, this is a problem. And of course, there's this little side finding that, oh yeah, by the way, California has now been participating in a continuously growing activity called genocide. Genocide. And of course, have the voters been properly have they been properly briefed as to various situations? No, they have not. They have been lied to. So we have thousands and thousands of parties who are trying to get cease and desist orders against California continuing to operate illegally. We have the United States Supreme Court stating that all courts within the boundaries of California must adhere to full scope argumenting the Constitution of the United States and federal law. So this is a problem, you see, because the Constitution of the United States has a bunch of people like my bloodline goes back. My bloodline is a constitutional endorser. See, that's very interesting, you see. So people keep track of things in their bloodlines. It's very important, you know. So when you have people, for instance, that are victimized by, well, Royal German Empire exploits and phony creations and whatnot, you have people that keep track of these things. You know, why? Because it's important. When you have family members that are victims of genocide, it's of key importance. You know, I don't, you know, I'm going to say, you know, say here something about all genocide. Europe, World War II, all genocide. Europe, World War I, all genocide. Europe, in between World War I, World War II genocide, and pre-World War I. So you have pre-post. Okay. So you have these sequences that involve mass murder on scales that are mind-boggling. They're mind-boggling. And they're connected to the direct engineering and construction, design and making, with heavy amounts of money put into the processes by something called the Royal German Empire and their syndicate partners. And we haven't even got into the bankers yet. What I'm saying, we still haven't got into the bankers, which is a different aspect of how bankers finance war and different stuff like that. Now, the thing is certain things, just by the way, happen to be necessary. You know, so there is a complexity of this. So if we go back to the raw root, you know, California wants $42,000 plus a bunch of complex compliances to like 2 feet worth of documents. Stack them all up, they're about 2 feet thick, respective to things that have to be done. Now, the understanding here is the original constitutions have a certain belief. You're not allowed to charge taxes, okay? Only Congress can charge taxes. So we just had that verified. We just watched that in front of the nation. You know, you had the United States Supreme Court issuing and exploring these various areas and avenues of certain types of taxation, which are kind of really interesting because you do have tariffs historically reserved as an area for the country. It's part of the original agreement, and some people don't understand it and the way it works. So I can understand how you can have different kinds of confusion, and the court had some confusion looking at different documents. But, you know, also, see, part of what's missing here is there's other documents. See, there's other documents pre-existing. See, we're on Constitution number 5, This is important. And we also had pre-existing contracts prior to the Constitution, in which the Constitution validated those contracts. So the nature of law existed before the Constitution. Contrary to what some people might believe, it did. The concept of militia or milta basically is something that basically was not invented at the time of the writing of the Constitution. So if you'll notice that it's endorsed, you see, you have a constant growing of private and independent militias. They were never shut down because they can't be, because the agreement is that they would never be shut down. That is the agreement. Why? Let me explain this. There are those of us, we are the militia, okay? What does that mean? We made this country. This is our country. We made this country, okay? Our bloodlines fought and died to make this country. When we're talking about the Constitution of the United States, that's our contract. That's our contract. We made that contract. So when we have people trying to step up and claim that they know what it means, and we have to sit there and go, wow, this is a bunch of Marxist inventive stuff, that's all bullshit. This is something, we fought two great wars with the Royal German Empire and their syndicate. And people don't understand how this evolutionary device, mechanism of crime, mass murder, a mass destabilization mechanism, infiltrated and takes over stuff. So you have something in certain kinds of a violation of proper etherealism belief systems. Communism and socialism are false churches. These are false mindsets. And you have people running around saying, look, become a Marxist. Here, read this stuff. Karl Marx, okay? The problem is some people are dummies. They suck this stuff into their head, and they walk around with the Karl Marx in their head. They're a Marxist. They have the Marx in their head. Let me simplify this for you. People walk around with the Marx in their head. They have these set points. They've reprogrammed themselves. They have Marx inside of their head. Okay? They're dangerous. More than 180 million people around the planet are dead because of this evil, false spiritual structure. Okay? It was deliberately invented. It's a construct. Karl Marx didn't invent it. Okay? He was assisted by the Royal German Spy Institute to construct it. It's a mass construct. These are intentionally designed mechanisms. Number one target, Russia. Yeah, to deal with what? To help cover a need that the Royal German Empire wanted to deal with in their conquests. Okay? It's part of the plan. Number two target, the United States. Okay, because they wanted to keep the United States out of the picture. Okay, so we have all these people that are involved in vast ignorance, understanding the origin of communism and socialism. And most people are too lazy to watch a few decent documentaries where you would watch things like, look, we discovered all this information about Joseph Stalin running around committing mass murders. Yes, and one of the things you don't hear, but there's so much material. It's massive. They're telling you about individual actions, and you're looking at these photos. It's massive. Okay, you don't even get all the different cogs and what the information was that Joseph Stalin was using. See, he got a hold of data. Okay, where did the data came from? Data came from Royal German Empire Spy Department and their various syndicate partners, investors. Okay, so that information that he utilized, the demographic maps, all this other stuff, the methodology, the little books for him to question people, to separate people so they could tell which people they could use in a form of a deception, or which people would be brilliant but loyal, which usually meant they'd be evil. This was part of the sorting process. Okay? And that information came The origin of that is Royal German Empire Spy Institute activities. See, people they're just not getting this part, okay? They're not getting this part. So, somebody, we have people going to end up in court, and they go, oh, it's a philosophy. You can't lock me up for a philosophy. Let me explain your false ethereal bullshit, okay? I can lock you in the back room because you're associated with the largest destabilization mechanism and organization. And all the material that you are utilizing and sourcing comes from Royal German Empire exploits and the evolution thereof. Okay? It's committed to treason and mass murder. It is diabolically opposing the Constitution of the United States. That's part of its core value. So that means that when you step up and say that, you're saying that, in fact, that you have been duped and that somehow you're part of the false church, having this Marx-isms in your head, and that you're diabolically opposed to the Constitution. You understand you're not allowed to vote. You have criminal intent that's mind-boggling. Again, more than 180 million people are dead all over the world dealing with this Marx in the head stuff. And it's about time that we nip this stuff in the butt and get it done. Because I want to talk about people that keep doing the wrong thing and have no idea how to quantify properly and understanding and make any form of reasonable progressive tooling to deal with sorting these various items out. Okay, so when we look at things here, for instance, like in California, say, where basically they are diabolically opposed to the Constitution of the United States because they are a regime that is not of the Constitution. They diabolically oppose the Constitution. Okay, they are committing genocide. See, they're telling people that you are not allowed to put a roof over your own head and protect yourself from the elements. Well, for hundreds of thousands of years, the evolution of man has always dealt with the common philosophy, a real philosophy, that you're entitled to do whatever you need to do with your hands to build a roof over your head to shelter you from the elements, okay? So once again, let me assert this, okay? People from Greenland, okay, and people from Alaska are going to tell you California is involved itself in genocide. It's called genocide. It's a crime against humanity. This is the math on this, okay? It is unconstitutional. It's one of the main reasons, a main staple of why we fought the Revolutionary War. To stop taxes and to stop people from disallowing us to use our own hands to make shelter so we won't die from the elements. We wanted to be free of such oppressive powers. So here we have a bunch of people that are doing things and they're trying to justify things and say, oh, well, it works this way. Let me explain this to you. I've done a comprehensive math analysis. No, their viewpoints don't work. They are not cohesively aligned and loyal to the Constitution of the United States. Let me explain the mechanism that designed these types of violations that you're seeing. Okay, it's called the Royal German Spy Institute, and they had a lot of partners, okay? They designed all of these different mechanisms to go into foreign countries and even for their own country to create things known as code enforcement, okay? And all these other things. They're the creators of a system based upon the original construct design orders to be able to exert control and be able to destabilize people's personal powers. You see, these items are plainly, clearly put in the orders for the construct of these mechanisms. See, this is why people don't have a legal argument to stand on as they try to justify their position. They can't. It's mathematically impossible, to continue to listen to these ridiculous people. Oh, we get into, oh, well, you're saying what? Okay, excuse me. Who told you that? Oh, well, this is, okay, hold on. Let's go through this slowly. Where did you get all that? Oh, well, didn't you go to college? Oh, you got it at college. Okay. Who at college told you that? How is this a question? Just answer the question. Oh, well, I studied under... Okay, 5 minutes later, okay. All right, see how these people are now connected? See? And they're connected right over here back to these other people right here. And as you can see, this is Royal German Empire origin material inserted right here. Thank you. You have parties who are adhering to enemies of the state. Thank you, and thank you. So we're talking about the perfect mathematical quantization to understand the exact nature of the origins respective to what these people are talking about and what they're doing. People are supposed to know this. We'll go through the ori. Can we go through the ori of this? I would like the ori of this, or the or-e of this, or the or of this, or the or-y of this, if you please don't mind. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank you for your time. I've got calls coming in that I have to handle. Yes, I am a candidate for the governor of California currently, and I am still dealing with my constitutional commitment of prior elections and prior specialized federal constitutional filings that are included in the United States Archive, that are filed through the United States Secretary of the Senate.